Hi everyone, it's me, Ariel, and it's Wednesday Warriors. And today's question is it ever okay to overeat or skip meals in response to disturbing feelings? And Felicia was kind enough to write a little blurb from an eating disorder workbook about this question that I'm going to read to you because I think it really sums up what I want to say perfectly. Normal eaters may reach for a candy bar when having a bad day, but they know eating is not a magical remedy for the downside of life. What distinguishes them from those with eating problems is that it is not a part of their everyday eating pattern. They don't beat themselves up, eat in secret, feel shame afterwards, or swear to eat differently tomorrow. Their self-concept, self-esteem, and general attitude have nothing to do with their behavior around food. Your work is to trust that you'll gradually move towards eating more normally and only rarely eat or refuse food when you're upset, with absolutely no remorse. The truth is, it takes a lot of practice to sever the connection between feelings and feeding. And I think that really says a lot because people with eating disorders know that when they feel a certain way, they're more likely to restrict or to fast or to refuse food, or they're more likely to binge or to eat foods that they know aren't good for them in the amount that they're going to eat them. This question sort of has a follow-up question, and the question is, are you worried that you'll never be able to choose feeling over dysfunctional eating? Are you worried that you will never achieve this? Why do you feel this way? Why is eating or lack of eating somehow more important than feeling the emotions that are surrounding you? Did someone teach you to be this way? Why did you teach yourself to be this way? Have you always been this way? And if you haven't, when did things change? Can you pinpoint a time in your life or an event in your life that was a turning point for your eating disorder? Are you worried that you'll never be able to choose feeling over dysfunctional eating? And I am not worried about that because, as you guys know, I consider myself recovered and I don't have a problem with that anymore. So I am living proof that you can get past this, that you can achieve normal eating even if you are anorexic or bulimic or have EDNOS or orthorexia or binge eating disorder or any other eating disorder. In the wild ride that is life, some of us seek to find control in food. We use it to make ourselves feel better or worse. We restrict, we binge, we purge, we deprive, we use. Why food? Well, that's the question, isn't it? It's just like anything else. Some people use alcohol, some use drugs, some use exercise, some use video games. Addictions, vices, habits, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, they can be self-destructive. It takes time, patience, effort, and desire, but we can learn to coexist with the very things that make us crazy or take us on a downward spiral into pain and emptiness. There were times in my life I fasted for days, consuming nothing but water or Diet Coke. There were days when I'd allow myself a mere granola bar to get my body moving for an entire morning, afternoon, and evening. I had moments of ravenous hunger where I'd eat a salad or a bowl of soup with such ferocity that I was afraid people would notice. Sometimes, as I went between wanting to recover and wanting to wallow in my disease, I'd eat one meal a day, dinner, which was not nearly enough to satisfy my deprived body and mind. I remember summers of living on rice cakes at night after a 12-hour day of work. I did not have a good relationship with food. When I taught at the Boys and Girls Club and supervised the kids at lunchtime, I would eat my packed lunch with a dedication I'd never experienced before, and it was rough, because I didn't want to set a bad example for the little girls who were sitting there with me. I wanted to be good and real and helpful. I ate for them. I remember pretending to go out for food on my dinner break when I worked at the mall and coming back with just a Sprite. I remember obvious habits that caused my parents to scream at me, cry for me, and feel helpless. I used to have a lifestyle that made my roommate crazy with worry. I was obsessively worried about eating in public. I would stand near a counter of muffins, deciding for 10 minutes which one I would choose, changing my mind back and forth. I was, in short, a mess. I came to a crossroads. I really wanted to recover, really wanted to be all right, really, really wanted it. Wasn't just wishing, wasn't just hoping. I was willing to do something about it. I was willing to work, to learn, to try. I got good at just saying no. That's right, no. When I'd feel that familiar grip of anorexia, I'd say, no, figuratively, literally, whatever it took. I was bold with myself, with my disease. I did not take it. When I was feeling low, I'd do something good to pick myself up. I learned to cope without using food. When I felt myself slipping, I'd say, no. I'd push the disorder away and say I didn't want it, and I'd say, no. Sounds simple, and it is. But you can't just go about it half-assed. You have to scream it, mean it, use it like a weapon. You're better than all the crap bringing you down. Remember that and just say no when you feel you're being pulled in the wrong direction. It takes a lot of willpower, more willpower than it takes to starve. I wrote daily. I used my writing to help me, to save me, to direct me. I stopped using food to control and to deprive. I stopped using food as something mental. I tried to embrace it. It was difficult. I didn't like it. Then I forgot about food. I focused on my eating disorder for what it was without the elements of food. There was so much more to my problems other than food. I mean, come on, food doesn't have the ability to destroy. I learned about myself, sought to love myself, wrote about my pain and my feelings, wrote about my struggles. I began to feel better. I began to stop counting. This was tough, to forget about sizes, forget about calories, forget about a number on a scale. I didn't weigh myself. I had no scale. I did this purposely. It was weird and it was hard. I wanted to weigh myself, but I didn't have a scale. I kept wanting to weigh myself. It went on, but I had no scale. And eventually, I stopped wanting to weigh myself. It didn't matter. An inkling of curiosity wasn't the same as an aching need. I don't care now. You can get to that point where it doesn't matter, but you have to work at it. You have to be strong and not allow yourself to give in. And in time, you'll be okay. You won't be a slave to a device that conquers your mood and your sense of well-being. You won't be a slave to food. And let me tell you, without a number to dictate your daily mood, you begin to listen to yourself and to how you feel without that number. You know yourself as you never knew her before. You feel good. You feel free. You begin to finally see that you feel so good that there is no way you'd ever want to go back to that dark, horrible place you were before. You want out with a passion when before you just wanted out with a desperation. I was eating, and I was trying not to think about it much. It was necessary, but not enjoyable. I was okay with it as long as I didn't think on it too long. I had moments of worry and panic, moments of stress and distaste, but I got through. I just plodded through. Food and I were still not friends, but we were no longer enemies. I trudged on, doing well, but worrying that I might relapse into old ways. I gained weight, but instead of being horrified by the way I looked, I appreciated the curves that were slowly showing themselves. The mirror was, strangely I thought, more of a friend to me when I had put on some pounds than it was when I was sickly thin and longing to be thinner. It felt good, so I looked good. I was learning to love my body. It was fascinating, liberating, and astounding. I felt like a different person. I surrounded myself with the right people. I tried to stop worrying about what others would think. This was the big one. It's not easy, but it's possible. If I couldn't stop myself from worrying what they might think, I tried at least not to spend too much time on it. As I grew to be happy with myself as a person and as a woman, I found that I was content to cook food and eat it. More than that, I enjoyed cooking, and I enjoyed eating when I'd taken the time to make. It took me a while to get over the shock of this. It remains the same. I like to cook and I like to eat. Yes, you heard me correctly. I like to eat. I eat when I'm hungry. I stop when I'm full. I enjoy letting myself enjoy. I cook for my husband and he loves it and appreciates it, which is so nice. He cooks for me. We eat together. We nourish. We're healthy. So how can a woman who suffered from anorexia and had such an unbearable relationship with food come to love it and live with it? Well, I just told you. But words on a page are not actions, and the actions are much harder to accomplish than writing the words. And don't forget that it doesn't happen overnight. It can take years. You have to try it for yourself when you're ready. But I can tell you one thing. It's worth it.